Something I learned from John Overdurf many moons ago, which is the kind of structure of change, the meta pattern of change, and his coaching model I bring in here. But a lot of the things that you're already doing can do this work, provided you're a little bit more strategic in hitting the necessary steps for therapeutic memory reconsolidation. Because if you don't light up the actual neural network associated with the problem, then no matter what great resource, what great trance, what great state change you can do, it doesn't get connected to the neural network that needs to change. So you've got to be a bit more strategic in understanding the essential components in therapeutic memory reconsolidation if you want to really not only change the immediate behavior, right? How I feel when I look at the bar sign, or how I react when the waiter says, "Can I get you a drink?" Or whatever the triggers for that individual is. Whether it's, when my parents disapprove of me, or when my boss looks at me with that face, whatever the triggers are, you need to make sure that you light that up, because not only are you going to interject change in how they respond, react, and really feel when in the face of those triggers, but by lighting up the entire neural network, that whole schema that has its roots in early priming, that is still active in that neural network, the early predispositions, that gets changed too. So we can really do strategic, specific, practical neuroscience and change the early, even pre-verbal emotional primes that are at the root of what makes some people more apt to become addicted than others. This process can be generalized to any issue, and it's true. This is my protocol for working with just about everything. Just about, maybe not pain management or health issues, but most things that people come to us for are habits. Habits of thought, habits of feeling, habits of behavior, and as I said, habits of being. And so this protocol way expands into almost every condition that people show up with, that you're working with. So it's applicable, even if you don't work with, people with addiction. The next part of your question was, what do you do? How do you work with people that seem so cerebral, that don't have access necessarily to their feelings? And I am going to bust that myth a little bit, because I have never met someone who couldn't access some level of feeling. They don't need to wallow in it. They don't need to be able to really feel it in a pronounced way. But typically when you hit a trigger, there's something that they feel. Something. We don't need for them to fully embody the emotion in order to light up the relevant neural network. Sometimes it's, what do you see, what do you hear, what do you, even smell. It's sensory. So we can drop them into trance, because trance is an amplifier. So luckily, we actually do have tools if you do encounter people that really have a hard time feeling the feeling. And while I typically don't suggest putting people in trance to feel a negative kinesthetic, occasionally I will. If they're saying, "I really can't feel it," then I'll say, "Well, I'm sorry, what was your name again?" "Yes, you just drop a little deeper into there, da, 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 da," and you do it quickly. You just need to light it up. Don't dwell in it. Don't linger in it, because you get what you focus on, and you're reigniting that negative K. If you do it strong enough, then you're going to have a harder time. knocking it down. Also, as I was talking in my pre-conference, and you might have heard me mention it before, there is something called the Quantum Zeno effect. And it comes from particle physics. And it is basically what they find is when you constantly measure, constantly check in and measure a subatomic particle, you slow down the rate at which it changes. That's right. They call that the physicist version of a watched pot never boils. By the way, that's not true. Of course I would, sat there watching the pot until it boils because I don't like.
But it takes long.
It does, and we know it's the Quantum Zeno effect. But then, I think in like 2005, Henry Stapp, S-T-A-P-P, maybe that's his name. Stapp is the last name. They did some studies to focus this on not just particle physics, but human behavior. And what they found was indeed that which you constantly check on, you stabilize. It lasts longer in the brain. So that is why I prefer not to focus so much on the negative emotion, especially amplified in trance.